Welcome to Food Shrinks.
Hey gang, Molly C here. Welcome to Food Drinks. We love you. And if you love us, we just are always going to ask our little favor because the more you let us know that you love us, the better we can do in the podcast world. So if you have 25 seconds, just hit subscribe wherever you're listening, YouTube, Spotify. And if you have like 180 seconds, that's 3 minutes. If you wouldn't mind just giving us a little note, passing this along to someone else and rating it. We love a 5-star rating. And let's get to our show. I write a weekly newsletter. Can I just also say, I write a weekly newsletter. Molly and Clarissa run this amazing program called Sweet Sobriety. And if you haven't checked it out, you ought to. That's our shame. We're into shameless plugs.
Yes.
I write a weekly newsletter called The Love Letter. I love writing it, no charge, and I get so much feedback from it. This week, I wrote a love letter that I got like the most enormous amount of feedback from. And I wrote it about my dog, Danny. And Danny's very bougie and he has arthritis and he gets these shots for the arthritis. And part of the having the shots for the arthritis is that he needs to have 2 weeks of dead bed rest and then 2 weeks of easing back into life. And this was week 4. Weeks 1 through 3 were like easy peasy lemon squeezy, but week 4 was rough. And here's why. This is what it has to do with you. I'm not just telling everybody a story about my dog, okay? I promise this has to do with you, listener. This week was the week that Danny kind of like felt really good, but couldn't move still. He still had to be on a lead. And I had this moment while he was like, I don't know, my mother says not to put human emotions on dogs, but sue me, I do it. I felt like my dog was looking at me being like, why I want to do it differently. Like I want to go back to my life. And I was looking at him and actually weirdly, this was the most important week that he stayed still because it's actually the week that the realest of the healing happened for him. And I thought to myself, wow, how many times in my life have I run through the stop sign of the 4th week? Like
Mhm.
how many, and like I thought, wow, maybe this is like what my relationship with my higher power is like. Like maybe right now I'm like Danny's higher power, being like, bro, I get it. I get that you want to run free, but like just one more week, babe. And I don't know about you, but like in my addiction, like how many times have I been like, yeah, I know they said 4 weeks, but 3 weeks, and then I'm like worse off for it, like, and I'm like, then I'm like, right? So I just thought that was like that's a pretty evergreen topic, and clearly people are really interested in it. So let's go there. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Clarissa.
That's it. That's the whole
No,
podcast.
no,
No,
I can see it. She's taking it. She's sucking in her deep breath. She's got
well,
all the
it
thoughts. I see
is.
her brain moving.
No, I think it is about so much patience, and about so much like being with and feeling and healing. And that, of course, we want to run. Of course, we want to do it different, right? It makes all the sense in the world why I don't want to be with it. So I'm going to do what feels better every single time. I mean, that's why people use substances in the first place. So anything, I am going to avoid that discomfort. And I think that is so much about recovery, like what recovery is like leaning into the discomfort. And that's what makes it so challenging.
I
I was
know.
just giggling because you know what's so funny is in our foundations program, module 6, so like week 6, week 7 is when we start getting into this distress and tolerance. And this is when the biggest drop off happens for group
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
participation,
quit,
is
right?
I'm out. Yeah.
this very module where we're learning skills how to modulate and manage and take care of our distress. And people are like, whoop, which is so interesting because you would think people would want to stay like, oh, and they
But
don't. And I
don't.
wonder what that is.
No, because then you have to be with it and then you have to face it and like, oh, no,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm not there
Just
yet.
want to
And
go
that's
back to the
okay.
old
Yeah.
way. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really, there's this AA slogan and it says, don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle happens. And that's what me and Danny Carmel were doing this week, by force. It was like we were just not giving up until the miracle of, stem cells happened for him. But I mean, I don't know about you guys. but certainly in my addiction and even in my early recovery, the amount of times that I gave up before the miracle happened, and it brought me back, it added time to a situation or a process that I was trying to heal from. I mean, endless, 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 endless of just that moment where you say, I don't care. I don't
Mhm.
care that I shouldn't be talking to this person. I don't care that I'm trying not to shop. I don't care that I said I'm not going to drink while I'm in my first 90 days of food abstinence. I'm just doing it. Right. And that's what I think it's really about, which is really like trusting the divine timing of what you're in, especially if you're dealing with healing from an addiction, right?
Yeah.
Or healing from it, and a woman wrote to me and she was like, has, I think, some exercise bulimia. And she was like, this is the most timely thing I've ever read. My doctor told me I should be on bed rest for 4 weeks, and I just think I should be able to go back to yoga this week.
Mhm. But I think everything you're saying, Molly, is also so important because it also reinforces why it's so hard to do it on our own because we can't. Your dog needed you there
Yeah.
to
That's such
help
a nice take on
it, be to do what was best for it because we couldn't do that. He couldn't do that on his own. He wouldn't be able to. And I
it.
think that's so often the same for us when we, go back and we do things that are not, the most loving. I think it's because maybe we haven't let our people in, or we don't want to be someone who needs to have people to not do the thing, which is also a big pill to swallow. So I think it really reinforces how important community is in this
Well, I love
recovery
that. And
journey.
other people that have like waited and
Yeah.
said, you know what, it really does, like what you're saying, 42 days in, 42 days into a process, that's when the real pain starts.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
you need people to say like, yeah, day 42 is the worst. Just stick it out. It's way better on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And do
Yeah.
you need me to be with you on day 42? Because I would be
Guys to be
okay to
with
do
me.
that. Yes.
Guys to be with me in year 14. I mean, I need that so badly. It's a funny thing about faith, isn't it? Because that's really what it is. It's really an act of faith. I mean, faith is sort of trusting when you don't want to, sort of knowing that you should and not really knowing why. And the problem, I think, I don't know about you guys, but like when I was deep in the addiction, and I don't know, even in life sometimes, it's more that just like the impulsivity of doing the thing that I want to do feels more secure than waiting and saying, yeah, maybe it could be better if I just hold out.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, if I think about my own recovery, the biggest shift that happened was I was divorced, living on my own, and I was dying from alcohol. And I had to say, I can't live on my own right now, and I need to move back in with my parents at 32. And like what does that mean about me?
Mm,
Hey, that's what shows up. It's the shame again. Shame, shame, shame. It's like you can't even be on your own. You're out of a marriage that was unhealthy, and now you've got this beautiful life ahead of you, and you can't even do that.
oh man.
And I think that is also so reinforcing and just doing it anyways, because knowing I was going to die and how powerful that shifted my recovery at that time.
Yeah. When you did that and you went with the hard thing and the patient thing, right? Which, because
Yeah.
that's like a definition of humility story, right? Which is knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and acting in accordance. I mean, that's an incredible spiritual act you just shared about, and thank you so much for it. Like, how did you do it? Like, how did you tolerate because it's like all the egos coming in and saying, you're the worst, you're the worst.
Well, it was also, mom and dad had said, we're not doing this anymore. If this is what you want to do, we're out.
Good
Like,
for
we're
them, I know.
done.
So you had some
They
contingency.
had just also started going to Al-Anon, but I did it, but I didn't like any of it. I was mad at them. I used them as my outlets, for it. I was mad at the fact that I had to do it. It wasn't like I was like, oh, surrender,
Yeah,
you
you're
know.
like Danny. That's how Danny's been all week.
Yeah, like I just did it because I knew I had to do it, but I was giving everyone the finger the whole time while I was doing it.
It's a hot take though. You don't have to do it pretty. You just have to do it.
Right.
It's a hot
That's
You just,
take.
it.
I'm into that.
right.
That's
Because
it.
eventually it shifted.
Right.
Eventually it shifted and it showed me the life I could have.
It's a beautiful example of doing the thing that is good for you and healthy for you, and it doesn't always feel good, but that we need to stay in it because the other thing that feels better was the thing that was killing you. Where you getting
Exactly.
sober, living with mom and dad to get support, whatever, it may have felt like it was killing you, but it wasn't killing you.
It was
Where the
right.
alcohol didn't feel like it was
Yes.
killing you,
It
but
was
it
healing
was.
you, right?
Right. Yeah. It was like, it was almost like you had to put yourself through that exposure so that your nervous system could like make that shift.
Oh
And I
man.
think about that too, that like I have these things that I feel like I'm going through this like spiritual baptism, but it's like by fire, where like
Yeah.
it's like constant, just like I just always feel like something is burning away. It's like every week I have this whatever it is, and it's just like I have to, it's like snot and tears and whatever, and it's like as soon as I can do that and I can just let it burn away, it's like, okay, that really fucking sucked. It really sucked. And look at how much has just like how much stress has just been released, how much
Mm.
has just come off of my plate in a way that like maybe I had put on there, not knowing it was me, but telling the story of like, I can't let this thing go, but really I could. And I did, and I get that it's not exactly the same as what you're saying, but it is this like reminder that if we can figure out how to be patient, be tolerant,
Mhm.
kindness and love for ourselves in these moments or these uh seasons in our life, that when we do get through to the other side, like you said, Molly, like the magic happens and then like we're better for it.
Oh yeah.
Danny's better for it, you're better for it, Clarissa, you're better for your you having done the things that you did to save your life.
There's
Well,
a great language of letting. I'm a big morning reader of like those little daily readers, and there's probably like 18 of these in all the codependency readings, but there's one in the language of letting go, and she talks about like the patchwork quilt of life, that life is sort of little patches making a larger quilt. And a lot of times we're in one square, like not able to see the whole square.
Right.
mhm.
And I don't remember anything. I'm in perimenopause, but I rely on that reading in my soul so deeply because, when I want what I want and I don't want it they didn't mean 4 days for the colonoscopy. I can do 2. Like all of this defiance that comes along with like me as an addict, right? It's like I try to remember that maybe in that moment, like my perspective is not seeing the whole quilt, that I'm zeroed in on this one part of the quilt. I don't like it. It doesn't make sense. I don't like how it looks. And maybe there's a larger quilt that doesn't make sense to me because I can't see it. I just can't. And that's always been
Mhm.
so helpful to me. Like maybe I'm not seeing the whole picture. You can't see the whole picture, especially when it's addiction, right? Like, especially, it's not,
Right.
you just can't. You're just like, well, I want to drink. And then you're like, well, I can't drink. And I just have to have faith that there's something like better.
But maybe it's none of your business until it is your business. You know
Or
what I mean?
yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
Because
you
it's
don't
like,
always get to know the answer. Maybe
no.
Right.
Right,
never.
right. I feel like there's some saying or spiritual teaching out there that talks about like, you know, it's like on a need to know basis and you don't need to know, something to that effect.
Oh, your
Obviously
favorite.
not that
Absolutely.
crass, but yeah, something to like all will be revealed as it's meant to be revealed.
Right.
That it's not always, that's anxiety showing up and trying to like future trip and pre-plan and be ahead of the game and all of those things. And if we're living in the future, again, we're not right here, and being right here requires mindfulness. And what is mindfulness? It's having patience for
Yeah.
just being right here, coming
Well, and I
back to
also
right
just want to
here.
say to the listener, like, also it's like getting to see the whole quilt is not a guarantee in life. So you just have to have faith that there's a lot. Sometimes you just have to like borrow cash just to be like, okay,
Yeah.
there's a larger quilt. So I don't want to ever be like, Molly, I didn't get to see the quilt. Like, I'm sorry, that's way above my pay grade. But it's a nice metaphor, I guess is all I'm saying. And it does help me to not, throw grenades in my own emotional,
Mm,
spiritual, and physical progress, right?
Right.
mm.
So like just to go to like that practical side of things. So if somebody's listening and they're like, "Oh, well this is all well and good," and you guys are saying be patient, be patient, be patient, like how do we practice patience?
Yeah, I
I've
think
always, oh, go on, see.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, if I just even like put myself in those 3 months where, mom potentially had cancer. Well, she did have cancer, but we didn't know how bad it was. And, Benton, my new puppy, is really ill. It's like day at a time,
Mm.
meal at a time, structure, like what's next, like staying as staying in today as I can, and talking about all of it all of the time, because that was the only way to get there, because the end was so far away and I knew it was going to be so far away, and I going there is just pain. So it was just like outside going for a walk and just doing things without even like, you know, like knowing why I needed to do them, but just like doing them because I was like, maybe this makes me a smidgen of a fraction feel better.
Mm.
Meant.
That's beautiful. Again, just to be, I'm reminded of what Marsha Linehan always says about distress tolerance, learning how to tolerate distress, which is sort of what we're talking about, which is the goal of distress tolerance is not to feel better. The
Right.
goal of distress tolerance is not to feel worse. And I don't know, the way that I work, because I hate that actually makes me want to punch Marsha in the face, and she's like a deity to me. But so the way I deal with that, I guess that's what I'm saying, is like so I don't know about you guys, but like when I was first getting sober, abstinent, whatever I was doing, like I was so scared of my feelings that like the idea of a feeling would make me want to use. And so I actually get like a little excited for a feeling. When I can have a feeling, when I can feel sad, I'm like, this is a miracle. Like my perspective on feelings is a little bit different. When I can feel brokenhearted, I'm like, this is a miracle. When I can feel angry, I'm like, this is a miracle. And so that's the thing, right? Like I'm feeling broken heart. Like, if I'm Danny, I'm like, why can't I play? I'm sad about that. It's okay. Like, then I'm going to feel sad about that. And that's okay. And that's actually a miracle that I can feel sad and not feel like I have to numb the sadness, right? Or and this happened to me in 2021. I had a huge breakup, shattered glass to the ground. And what I learned in that was like, wow, I'm a human being with these feelings and I can tolerate this. Like I am strong enough to tolerate this. And like I felt like a rock star, honestly. I felt like a broken rock star, but a rock. And so I think switching my perspective about the weight has been and talking about it, like putting my friends on a podcast and talking about, like we talk about this shit all the time. So like I don't know, I've just had to change my perspective on patience.
That's so
Mm.
important. So
Mhm.
important, because I absolutely think that that's what has happened for me now with this, which was probably the first time I've been through anything so emotionally painful, is like I got through it and like, I didn't self-harm. I didn't
Yeah,
do
you're the
anything
best. Like who's
destructive.
better than you? Yeah.
Like now I have all this confidence and like so much, and I feel so like proud of myself that I was able to do that. I didn't know I was capable of doing that, but knowing that it will shift if you just keep going.
Yeah. And that's like and that's the mantra, right? Which is, I don't know. I do also love like a decision balance sheet. I don't know about you guys. Pros and cons of kicking it to the curb, pros and cons of following the rules. And again, like I'm like, this isn't going to help me. And then I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'm not going to do
Writing it down, seeing it. Yep, it does.
it.
Making it a little more concrete. Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, it reminds me of this thing Clarissa sent me recently where it's about perspective,
Why didn't you
and
send it to me though? Just kidding.
yeah.
Okay.
And we offer suffer more in our mind than in reality. And so
Mhm.
when we can say, but is this, has this actually happened yet? Like what's right in front of me? What's actually happening? And yes, am I sad? Is my heart broken? Is it shattered? Am I angry? Am I any of these things? And can I just hold those things to be true without judging them? And then does it shift? Does that allow me to sit in it longer if I'm not judging the experience? I'm just allowing the experience or observing the experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. I love that. I love you guys.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
This
We
is
should just
Yeah,
do this. all the
totally.
time.
We should do this more often.
do this
Every
next
week, maybe.
We should do this
Yeah.
next week. All right.
Oh my goodness. Well, if you guys want to hear more, if you have questions, if you want to give us your feedback, you can always email us at asktheshrinks@foodshrinks.com.
And we're thinking of you and we love you.
See
Till
you next week.
Thanks for listening to Food Shrinks. Quick reminder, this podcast isn't a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider for guidance suited to your needs. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach others on the recovery journey. Take care and remember, freedom with food is possible. See you next time.